Update 2. Parents said they skipped my birthday because everyone's been so busy. 2 days later, my aunt posted, grateful for family and surprise cake nights. It was for my sister. I waited. Then my mom messaged, you're still covering the electricity, right? I replied, definitely. Then I shut off every account I managed. Left a note in the smart thermostat, find warmth in each other. At 8:03 a.m., I got 41 missed calls, one said emergency. I didn't correct her. If that's how they wanted to frame it, fine. But I knew they'd be back. It took exactly 23 days. That morning, I got a text from my mom, can we have a proper talk as a family? I didn't answer. An hour later, Ashley messaged me too, can you come over for dinner tonight? We want to talk. I didn't know what to make of it. For a second, I considered going, just to see what they'd say. Curiosity was stronger than any hope of reconciliation. I said I'd come. The house felt colder than I remembered, literally and otherwise. They must have had the heat turned way down to save money. Grandma was sitting in her usual spot on the couch, wrapped in a blanket. She smiled when she saw me and said, about time. In the dining room, everyone was already seated, like they were waiting for a verdict. We've been thinking, my dad said. Maybe things got out of hand. We could have handled things better. He didn't say sorry, he said things. Ashley jumped in, we were wrong to forget your birthday. That was more direct. I appreciated it, even if it felt coached. My mom added, we'd like to start over, have dinner together like we used to, maybe reconnect. It was the most united front they'd put up in years. I nodded slowly. I wasn't sure if it was genuine or just strategy, but I wanted to believe it, so I said, okay, we can try. For the next hour, we actually talked about small things, work, grandma's health, a new dog someone in the neighborhood got. It felt normal. Strange, but kind of nice. At the end of the night, just as I was putting on my jacket, my dad said, so now that we've cleared the air, maybe you could help out again, just with the insurance and utilities for now, until we get back on track. Of course. There it was. I said, no. He blinked like he hadn't heard me right. I said, no. I'm not doing that again. The mood in the room flipped like a switch. My mom looked at him, and he stood up. If you're not going to help your own family, then maybe you don't belong here. Grandma looked up sharply and said, that's enough. But it wasn't. He pointed at the door, you can leave. I didn't argue. I walked out. It was the first time I felt truly done. A few days later, I got a message from Grandma. She wanted to meet, not at their house, at mine. She said they needed to come to me this time. That was the beginning of something different. I had no idea what was coming next. They showed up without warning, well, not entirely without warning. Grandma called that morning. She asked if I'd be home, said it might be a good idea to stay in. She didn't say why. I asked if it was about them. She didn't answer, just said, you'll know when it happens. Then she hung up. 3 hours later, I saw their car pull into my driveway. My mom, dad, and Ashley stepped out like they were going door to door selling apologies. They stood there for a minute before anyone rang the bell. I watched from the kitchen. I could have ignored them. I thought about it, but something made me go to the door and open it. None of them said anything at first. My mom gave a small wave. My dad was staring at the ground like it owed him something. Ashley looked nervous for once in her life. Can we come in? My mom asked. I stepped aside. We sat in the living room, each on separate pieces of furniture like strangers at a doctor's office. The silence dragged until my dad finally spoke. This isn't about money. That's how he started. I don't know if he meant for it to sound defensive, but it did. He continued, we talked. All of us. We weren't fair to you. I waited. My mom leaned forward, you did a lot for us. Quietly. We just got used to it. We took you for granted. Ashley spoke up too, which was unexpected, and we were wrong to make you feel like you didn't matter. That was cruel. I didn't see it at the time, but it was. It wasn't the same rehearsed tone I'd heard before. It sounded like they'd actually talked, maybe even argued about it. Maybe Grandma got through to them. My mom looked around the room, we're not here to ask you to fix anything. We just want to know if it's too late to start over. Not with help, just with you. I didn't answer right away. I looked at them all sitting there like visitors in a stranger's house. It was the first time they'd entered my space not expecting anything. I'm not helping with the bills again, I said. Not 1 cent. That part's over. My dad nodded slowly, understood. Everything from now on has to be real. No asking for favors disguised as conversations. No guilt, no silence when it matters. They all agreed. I wasn't sure I believed it would last, but I let them stay. We talked for a while about little things, Grandma's cooking, some old neighbor that moved out, my job. Nobody asked me for anything, and it felt almost normal. They left after a couple hours. My mom hugged me carefully, like she wasn't sure she was allowed. My dad just said, thanks for letting us come. Ashley said nothing, just smiled like someone who wasn't sure what came next. After they left, I sat on the couch, staring at the empty space they just filled. I wanted to believe they'd changed. But I'd also lived long enough to know people don't flip switches. They adjust when they're cold, and they go back to old habits the moment the heat's back on. 2 days later, I got a letter in the mail. No return address. Inside was a small white card, handwritten in careful block letters. You've reminded them what it feels like to lose something. Don't forget what it felt like to be forgotten. No signature, no name, just that. It shook me more than any of their apologies, because it was the truth. I had spent years making sure they never felt the absence of anything. But when it was my turn to be seen, they looked away. Now I had a decision to make, not about them, about me. Whether this was healing or just the eye of the storm. The letter sat on my counter longer than it should have. I moved it once to wipe underneath, then put it right back, like it belonged there. It wasn't threatening, but it wasn't comforting either. Just a quiet sentence I couldn't stop thinking about. You've reminded them what it feels like to lose something. Don't forget what it felt like to be forgotten. Part of me thought one of them had written it, Ashley, maybe, or even Grandma. But the handwriting didn't match. It was too neat, block letters, like someone who didn't want their style recognized, which made it worse. Someone knew. Someone was watching close enough to send a reminder. And they were right. At first, things stayed quiet, uneventful. Even the group chat that had been dead for weeks suddenly had small pings. My mom sent a photo of Grandma holding a pie she baked. My dad said, "Happy Monday." One morning, out of nowhere, Ashley DM'd me a meme about siblings that she would have never sent a month ago. I didn't know if it was an olive branch or bait. For a while, it felt almost like a life I could have believed in if I hadn't lived the last 3 decades. And then, predictably, the tone shifted. It was Friday night when I got the message from my mom, just wondering, when you said you weren't helping with bills anymore, did you mean everything? Because Dad's car needs work, and we're stretched this month. I didn't respond. Saturday morning, Ashley called. She jumped straight into it like we were already mid-conversation. "So about the car thing, I think Mom texted you." "Yeah." She waited. And I said, "I'm not helping anymore." There was a silence on the line, like she was genuinely surprised. "But things are better now." That was the whole point of coming over. No, the point was honesty. I'm being honest, I'm not paying for things anymore. Well, this isn't like a luxury, not 10. It's the car. Dad needs it for work.